My daughter-in-law shoved me into the basement of my own house. Her words cut like ice, telling me I didn't belong upstairs anymore, that the space I'd built with my sweat and tears was now hers. I stood there, my hands trembling, clutching the worn handle of my suitcase, the air damp and heavy with mildew. I didn't argue. Instead, I sat on the creaky cot that night, the cold seeping into my bones, and opened a notebook. Every dollar I'd poured into this house, every mortgage payment, every repair, every cent for their wedding, went down in ink, a quiet promise to myself. This wasn't just betrayal, it was theft of my dignity, my sacrifice, my home. Family doesn't discard you like trash, not after you've given everything, not after you've scrubbed floors to pay for their future. But karma, it always finds a way. What I did next would turn their world upside down, and they'd never see it coming. Before we continue, subscribe and tell me where you're listening from. My husband passed away too soon, leaving me alone in Michigan to raise our little boy. The grief hit like a winter storm, cold and unrelenting, but I pushed through, sacrificing my own dreams of travel and rest to build him a stable life. Every day, I worked multiple jobs, my hands raw from scrubbing floors and typing reports, all to give him a home, an education, a chance at something better. I remember the day he was born, the hospital room filled with the scent of fresh linens and hope. His tiny cries echoed in my ears as I held him close, promising silently that I'd protect him from the world's harsh edges. But when my husband died in that factory accident, the weight fell on me alone, the bills piling up like snowdrifts outside our rented apartment. Michigan winters were brutal back then. I'd wake before dawn, the frost biting my cheeks as I shoveled the walkway, then rush to my first job at the diner. The smell of greasy bacon and burnt coffee clung to my clothes all day, a constant reminder of the hours I traded for his future. At night, I'd come home exhausted, my feet aching from standing, but I'd still read him stories by the dim lamplight. His laughter filled the small space, warm and pure, making every sacrifice feel worth it. I saved every penny, skipping meals sometimes, just to afford his school supplies. Years passed, and I dreamed of owning a house, a real home where he could grow roots. I took on a second job at the local factory, the machines humming loudly in my ears, vibrations shaking my bones. The overtime pay burned in my pocket, but I tucked it away, building a down payment bit by bit. Finally, the day came. I signed the papers for our modest house in the suburbs, the ink smelling fresh on the deed. The keys jingled in my hand like a victory bell, cold metal promising security. We moved in that spring, the air sweet with blooming lilacs from the yard I'd soon tend. Maintaining that house became my life's work. I'd paint the walls on weekends, the fumes stinging my eyes, while he played outside. Leaky roofs, broken furnaces, I fixed them all, calling in favors or learning from library books, my fingers blistered from tools. He grew tall and strong, excelling in school because of the quiet study space I provided. I'd watch him from the kitchen window, steam from boiling pots fogging the glass, as he kicked a ball with neighborhood kids. My heart swelled with pride, knowing my back-breaking labor had given him that freedom. But sacrifices mounted. I gave up nights out with friends, the laughter I craved, to be there for his bedtime. Holidays meant extra shifts, the jingle of cash registers drowning out carols, so I could buy him gifts, each one wrapped carefully, the paper crinkling under my tired hands. When he graduated high school, tears streamed down my face in the crowded auditorium, the cheers echoing like thunder. I'd paid for his tuition extras, tutoring sessions that left me eating canned soup for weeks. He hugged me tight, his voice whispering thanks, but I waved it off. That's what mothers do. College came next, and I remortgaged the house to cover his fees. The bank teller's pen scratched loudly as I signed, my stomach twisting with worry. But seeing him in that cap and gown later, the sun warming my skin, made it all fade away. He met her during his final year, my future daughter-in-law. She seemed sweet at first, her smile bright as she shook my hand, the scent of her perfume light and floral. I welcomed her into our home with open arms, cooking family dinners where the aroma of roast chicken filled the air. They'd sit at the table, laughing softly, while I served plates steaming with love. I'd listen to their plans, my heart full, thinking this was the legacy I'd built. A family growing under the roof I'd fought to keep. When they announced the engagement, joy rushed through me like a warm breeze. But money was tight for them, so I stepped in, paying for the wedding hall, the flowers that perfumed the venue, even her dress that swished elegantly as she walked down the aisle. My savings dwindled, but I smiled through it, my hands clasping theirs in blessing. After the honeymoon, they moved in with me. Temporarily, they said. The house echoed with their footsteps, a new energy that made the walls feel alive again. I renovated the spare room for them, the sawdust tickling my nose as I hammered nails, creating a space for their start. Childcare followed when their first baby came. I'd rock the infant in the old wooden chair, its creak soothing, the baby's soft breath against my chest. Mornings started early, diaper smells mixing with fresh coffee, as I cared for the little one while they worked. Holidays were my favorite. Thanksgiving tables groaned under turkey and pies I'd baked from scratch, the oven's heat warming the kitchen. Laughter rang out, silverware clinking, as we shared stories under the glowing lights. Christmas mornings, the pine scent from the tree, filling the house, gifts unwrapped with crinkling paper, all funded by my extra shifts. Quiet evenings brought peace. We'd sit on the porch, the summer air humming with crickets, sipping tea that steamed in our cups. I'd feel the legacy then, solid as the house foundation, a security I'd poured my life into. But as time went on, subtle shifts appeared. Her comments on my cooking, "Your kind isn't fancy enough," she'd say with a sniff, the words hanging in the air like smoke. Class tensions simmered, her upbringing from a wealthier side, making her look down on my simple ways. I brushed it off, focusing on the love. Financial help continued, renovations for a modern kitchen, my checkbook emptying as cabinets slammed during installation. I'd watch from the corner, dust settling on my clothes, sacrificing more for their comfort. The second child arrived, and I gave even more. My body weary from sleepless nights. The nursery smelled of fresh paint I'd applied, strokes careful and loving. They thanked me briefly, but the words felt hollow, echoing in my tired mind. Winters grew harder on my aging bones, the cold seeping through windows I'd sealed myself. Yet I kept going, mending what broke, paying what they couldn't. My dreams faded further, but his happiness shone bright, a light I clung to. One evening, as rain pattered on the roof, I sat alone in the living room, the clock ticking steadily. Photos on the mantel showed our journey, his baby pictures, wedding snapshots, all framed with care. I touched them gently, dust motes dancing in the lamplight, feeling the weight of my sacrifices. They'd go out sometimes, leaving me with the kids, the house quiet except for childish giggles. I'd cook meals they barely touched, the food cooling on plates, my efforts unseen. Still, I held on, believing family meant enduring. But then, the whispers started, her voice low in the hallway, complaining about space, about me being in the way. The air thickened with unspoken tension, like a storm brewing over Lake Michigan. I ignored the signs at first, my heart too full of love to see the cracks. The house I'd built, the life I'd given, it all felt secure. But deep down, a chill began to settle, warning me that my world was about to shatter. Little did I know, the betrayal was already unfolding, hidden in their plans. What happened next would test every ounce of my strength and change everything forever. The disrespect started small, like cracks in the foundation of the house I'd built. My daughter-in-law's comments slipped in during meals, her voice sharp as she called my ways outdated. My cooking too simple for their tastes. I felt the sting each time, but I swallowed it, reminding myself that family meant patience. At first, it was just glances. She'd wrinkle her nose at the stew I'd simmered all day, the rich aroma of onions and herbs filling the kitchen. "Your kind of cooking doesn't suit us anymore," she'd say, pushing the bowl away with a clink of silverware. I paused then, fork midway to my mouth. The steam rose hot against my face, but her words chilled me deeper. I didn't answer. The silence hung heavy, like the humid Michigan summer air outside. Evenings grew tense. They'd whisper in the living room, planning renovations without me, the blueprints rustling on the coffee table. I'd walk in, the floorboards creaking under my feet, only to see them fold the papers quickly, her eyes avoiding mine. One night, I caught a snippet. "We need more space for our family," she murmured to my son, her hand on his arm. The lamp's warm glow cast shadows on the walls, but her tone was cold, excluding me as if I were a stranger in my own home. I stood in the doorway, heart pounding. My sacrifices, the endless jobs, the skipped meals flashed in my mind. But I turned away, the door clicking shut behind me, pretending I hadn't heard. Class tensions simmered beneath it all. She came from a finer background, always hinting that breeding matters, that my humble roots showed in everything I did. "Your outdated habits don't fit our modern life," she'd sneer during holiday prep, the scent of pine needles mixing with her disdain. I'd bite my lip, tasting the metallic tang of blood. Holidays I'd funded, decorations I'd hung with care, the glittering lights now mocked me. Real family respects you, not just your money, I thought, but I kept silent. Decisions piled up without me. They'd order new furniture online, boxes arriving with thuds on the porch, the cardboard smell invading the house. I'd offer input, my voice soft, but she'd wave it off. "We know what's best now, Mother." My son nodded along, his eyes darting away. The betrayal cut then, sharp as a knife through fabric. He'd grown up under this roof, warmed by fires I'd stoked, yet he let her lead. Financial slights followed. I'd noticed bills I'd paid, utilities, repairs, now charged to joint accounts without thanks. The envelopes crinkled in my hands, ink smudged from my grip. They used my money like water, flowing freely, while my dignity drained away. One afternoon, rain drummed on the windows, gray skies mirroring my mood. She approached me in the kitchen, her heels clicking on the tile. "We need to talk about the space upstairs." I wiped my hands on a towel, flour dusting the air from the bread I'd kneaded. Her perfume overwhelmed the yeast scent, cloying and insistent. "What about it?" "The nursery," she said flatly. "Our family is growing. You should move to the basement. It's practical for modern needs." Her words landed like a slap, the room spinning slightly. The basement, cold, damp, forgotten. After all I'd given, this was my reward. I stared at her, the clock ticking loudly on the wall. "Practical," I echoed, voice steady despite the storm inside. "This house is mine. I built it." She crossed her arms, lips pursing. "Things change. Your time upstairs is over. It's for the baby now." My heart raced, blood rushing in my ears. The betrayal bloomed fully then, hot and painful. She saw me not as mother, but as obstacle, my sacrifices mere obligations to discard. That evening, my son joined her side. We sat at the dinner table, candles flickering, casting unsteady light on our faces. "Mom, it's for the best," he said softly, fork scraping his plate. "Modern family needs space. We can't have you in the way." "In the way," I whispered, the words catching in my throat. The food turned to ash in my mouth, the warmth of the meal gone cold. He avoided my eyes, sipping water with a gulp. "She's right. You've done enough. Now rest downstairs. It's still your home." Sort of, sort of. The phrase echoed, a hammer to my chest. I'd raised him alone, poured my life into this place, yet he dismissed it for her whims. Karma would come, I knew, but the pain pierced deep. They left the table first, chairs scraping back with finality. I sat alone, the house quiet, except for the distant hum of the fridge. Tears burned my eyes. but I blinked them away, resolve hardening like ice. Packing began the next day. I gathered my clothes, the fabric soft and worn from years of use, folding them into boxes that smelled of cardboard dust. Each item whispered of sacrifices, dresses bought cheap to save for his education, scarves knitted during lonely nights. The stairs to the basement creaked under my weight, the air growing mustier with each step. Cobwebs brushed my face like ghostly fingers, the dim bulb flickering overhead. This was my demotion, from matriarch to burden, hidden away. I placed my suitcase on the concrete floor, the thud echoing in the empty space. Mildew clung to the walls, dampness seeping into my skin. Humiliation washed over me, waves crashing inside. Memories flooded back as I unpacked. The photo albums, snaps of him as a boy, laughter frozen in time, now stacked in a corner, dust settling like forgotten promises. I'd given everything, yet here I was, exiled in my own home. Nights in the basement were long. The cot sagged under me, springs groaning, the chill wrapping around like a shroud. I'd lie awake, hearing their footsteps above, muffled laughter filtering down like salt in wounds. One morning she came down, her voice echoing off the bare walls. Make sure you stay quiet during the day. The baby needs peace. Her footsteps retreated up the stairs, leaving silence heavier than before. I didn't respond. The silence said everything. Disrespect had turned to outright abuse, financial and emotional, stripping my dignity layer by layer. But in that darkness, something shifted. My mind raced, piecing together the slights, the money taken, the decisions stolen. They thought me weak, but I was calculating now, calm as a still lake hiding depths. Weeks blurred, tensions rising like Michigan fog. She'd complain loudly upstairs, her voice carrying down. That old woman and her outdated ideas. Breeding matters, you know. We deserve better. Breeding matters. The words fueled my fire. Class disdain laid bare. I'd come from hard work, not silver spoons, yet she'd twisted into shame. My hands clenched the thin blanket, knuckles white. My son echoed her now, conversations drifting down. Mom's sacrifices were her duty. Now it's our turn. Duty, the word twisted like a knife, dismissing decades of love as obligation. Financial abuse deepened. I found statements, loans in my name for their luxuries, signatures forged, perhaps. Papers crinkled in my hidden drawer, ink accusing. They'd used me, wallet open, heart closed. The final straw came during a family dinner. Plates clattered as she announced the nursery plans, paint swatches fanning out like accusations. You'll love the basement once we fix it up. Minimally, minimally. I set my fork down with a clink. This is betrayal, pure and simple. You've taken my home, my money, my respect. She laughed lightly, but her eyes hardened. Respect is earned, Mother. Your time is past. My son intervened. Mom, don't make this hard. It's for the family. The family. Not including me anymore. I stood, chair scraping, the room thick with unspoken rage. Humiliation burned, but I held my head high. Dignity, my last shield. Packing the last box, I touched the walls upstairs one final time, fingerprints leaving faint marks. The house smelled of fresh paint now, their changes erasing mine. Down I went, the door closing with a final click. In the dim light, I sat on the cot, musty air filling my lungs. The demotion symbolized it all, from provider to prisoner. But karma whispered promises, and my mind turned to justice. They celebrated upstairs that night, music faintly thumping. I heard her toast. To our new beginning. Glasses clinked, laughter rising. New beginning. For them perhaps. But for me, it was the end of silence. What I uncovered next would shatter their illusions, and revenge would begin in the shadows. The basement became my refuge and war room. I'd cry softly at first, tears soaking the pillow, the salt taste lingering. But pain forged strength, each disrespect a stone in my resolve. One day, rifling through old files I'd brought down, papers yellowed and crisp, I found the original deed. My name alone, bold in black ink. A spark ignited. They couldn't take what was mine. Yet the betrayal's weight pressed on. Financial records showed thousands drained, my savings funding their life. Abuse, clear and cold. No gray areas. Class snubs continued. She'd mutter about my simple clothes, the fabric threadbare from years. Your kind doesn't understand luxury, she'd say, her designer bags thumping on the counter. My kind, the phrase echoed, fueling moral fire. Real family honors sacrifice, not exploits it. I repeated it like a mantra, calm planning replacing hurt. Dialogue sparse now, but charged. When I asked about bills, my son snapped. Stop meddling, Mom. It's handled with my money, I thought, but said nothing. The pause stretched, tension thick as fog. Humiliation peaked during a visit from neighbors. She introduced me as the downstairs helper, her laugh light. The front door slammed after, leaving me in shadows. Downstairs helper, from mother to servant. The basement's chill matched my resolve. Calculated, cold. Symbolism hit hard as I fixed a broken shelf down there, hammer pounding nails with steady thuds, fixing what they broke in me, piece by piece. But the rising tension warned of explosion. Their plans grew bolder, whispers of selling the house perhaps. I overheard one night, voices low through the vents. We could evict her if needed, she said. It's our future now. Evict me from my own home. The words sealed it, betrayal complete. I didn't sleep that night, the cot hard beneath me. Morning light filtered dimly through a small window, dust dancing like ghosts. Dignity demanded action. Karma circled. I felt it. The emotional justice I'd seek would be silent, legal, devastating. But first I needed proof, and what I discovered in my investigation would change everything. In the dim basement, I began my secret investigation, gathering every scrap of evidence that proved this house was mine. Deeds, receipts, bank statements yellowed with time. Late at night, while they slept above, I'd spread papers across the cold concrete floor, the chill seeping through my thin blanket, as I traced years of financial contributions they'd taken without a word of thanks. My resolve hardened like frost on the windows, dignity demanding I uncover the full extent of their abuse. The air down there smelled of damp earth and old cardboard, boxes of forgotten memories stacked in corners. I'd light a small lamp, its weak glow casting long shadows on the walls, flickering like my growing anger. No more blindness, I needed facts, solid as the foundation I'd paid for. First, I pulled out the original deed from a hidden safe, the paper crisp, despite the years, ink bold with my name alone. My fingers traced the signatures, remembering the day I'd signed, sweat on my brow from the banker's stuffy office. They'd added their names later, but how? Questions burned inside me. Nights blurred into sessions of quiet digging. The clock ticked softly upstairs, but down here, time stretched. My heart beat, the only sound. I'd sift through folders, dust motes dancing in the lamplight, uncovering checks I'd written for their wedding, renovations, even vacations they claimed as necessities. One receipt after another. Thousands poured into this home, my home. The numbers stared back, cold and accusing, proof of financial abuse, disguised as family help. Gratitude, none. Just entitlement, thick as the mildew on these walls. I paused often, rubbing my eyes against the strain. The basement's chill wrapped around my legs, but it fueled me, a reminder of their disrespect. Karma whispered in the silence. Real family respects you, not just your money, but I needed more than papers. I reached out to an old friend, a lawyer from church, her voice steady on the phone during a hushed call. Meet me tomorrow, she said, concern edging her words. Bring everything. The next day, I slipped out early, the morning fog clinging to my coat like secrets. Michigan streets were quiet, leaves crunching underfoot as I walked to the bus stop. My bag held the evidence, heavy with truth. We met in her small office, the scent of fresh coffee mixing with leather-bound books. She poured me a cup, steam rising warm against my cold hands. "Let's review this," she said simply. Papers spread on her desk, rustling as she flipped through. "The deed. Yes, it's in your name primarily. But look here," she pointed, finger tapping a line. "They've taken loans against it, signatures that look forged. Forged." The word hung in the air, bitter as overbrewed tea. My stomach twisted, the room's fluorescent hum growing louder. "How much?" I asked, voice calm, calculated. "Tens of thousands," she replied, eyes meeting mine. "Hidden debts in your name, car payments, credit cards. They've used your equity like it was theirs. No gratitude, just greed." I didn't flinch. Inside, tension rose, a slow build like storm clouds over the lake. Financial abuse laid bare, my sacrifices mocked. But I nodded. "What can I do?" She leaned back, chair creaking. "Legally evict them, change the will, secure assets, prepare notices. We'll make it ironclad." Evict. The idea settled cold in my chest. Not anger, but justice. I thanked her, the door clicking shut behind me as I left. Mind racing with plans. Back in the basement, I planned meticulously. Late nights again, the damp air, heavier now with purpose. I'd jot notes in a hidden journal, pen scratching softly, outlining steps, transfer funds, update the deed, symbolic lock, changes to reclaim control. Symbolism mattered. I fixed a broken lock on an old trunk first, the metal clicking into place with a satisfying snap. It represented me, broken by betrayal, now mended, strong, dignity restored through action. Mini cliffhangers haunted my thoughts. What if they discovered my calls? The phone bill arrived one day, crinkling in my hands. Extra charges. Had they noticed? I hid it quickly, heart pounding in the quiet. Tension built, each discovery a step higher. But I pressed on, calm, calculated. Uncovering more debts came next. Digging online during stolen moments upstairs, the computer screen glowing blue in the dark kitchen. Passwords I'd set years ago still worked, revealing statements, loans for her fancy clothes, his new car, all tied to my credit, hidden debts in my name. The screen's light burned my eyes, numbers blurring with rising fury. They'd ruined my score, abused my trust. Class tensions clear in their lavish spends, while I shivered below. "Breeding matters," she'd said once. Now it showed, their kind thought. Money grew on trees. My trees. I closed the browser, fingers trembling on the mouse. But what I found next chilled me deeper. A forged signature on a home equity line. The document, printed quietly, paper warm from the machine. My name scrawled poorly, not my hand. Proof of fraud. Financial theft. Pure and simple. I didn't confront them. Silence was my weapon. The basement welcomed me back, caught sagging as I sat, planning the will change. No more inheritance for ingrates. Consulting the lawyer again, this time by email. Screen dimmed low. "Prepare the notices," I typed, keys clicking softly. "Eviction papers, asset freezes, make it legal, unbreakable." She replied swiftly, "Done. But be careful, they might fight dirty." Fight dirty. The words echoed, building tension. Upstairs, their laughter filtered down, glasses clinking in celebration of some win. My win was coming. Silent revenge, brewing. Late night sessions intensified. The chill hardened my resolve, skin prickling as I organized files into neat stacks, labels peeling slightly. Sensory details grounded me, the musty smell sharpening my focus. I'd burn a symbolic document one night. An old joint bill, flames licking in a small metal bin outside, smoke curling gray into the starry sky, ashes scattered. A new beginning whispered. No more shared burdens, but planning meant risks. One evening, my son called down. "Mom, you okay?" His voice muffled through the door. Concern false. "Fine," I replied shortly. The pause stretched, his footsteps retreating. Had he suspected? Tension rose like Michigan humidity before rain. I mapped the revenge. Public exposure if needed. But first legal strikes. Eviction will rewrite. Financial reclaim. Moral clarity guided me. Sacrifice deserved respect. not exploitation. Karma would deliver justice, but I'd pave the path. Cold and precise. Discovering emails next. A chain between them. Accidentally left open on the family computer. We can sell once she's out. She wrote, use the money for our dreams. On my back. The screen's glow illuminated my face. Jaw set. Mini cliffhanger. What if I replied, no, better to save it. Evidence mounting. I printed them quietly. Machine whirring low, paper stacking warm. Tucked away, they fueled my plans. Lawyer would love this. Changing locks symbolically came in thought first. I'd order new ones online. Package arriving discreetly. Cardboard thumping on the porch. Hiding them in the basement. Metal cool to touch. Promising control. Preparation built slowly. Legal notices drafted. The lawyer's office smelling of ink and resolve. During a quick visit. Sign here, she said. Pen heavy in my hand. The scratch of nib on paper. Sealed it. Eviction ready. Timed perfectly. Dignity surged, washing away the basement's chill. But uncovering more abuse tensed the air. A bank alert on my phone. Overdraft from their withdrawals. How had they accessed? Passwords changed now. Fingers flying on keys. They'd taken without asking. Financial disrespect. Blatant. Class divide clear. My hard-earned dollars for their ease. No gray areas. They were villains. In the hero reclaiming. Late nights persisted. Eyes heavy but mind sharp. The lamp buzzed faintly. Shadows playing on walls like ghosts of past sacrifices. I'd whisper plans to myself. Voice low. Teaser thoughts. But what I did next, they never saw coming. Calm revenge. Not hot anger. One discovery nearly broke the silence. A life insurance policy altered. Beneficiaries switched to her. Papers found in their drawer. During a rare upstairs moment. Wood creaking as I searched. Altered without me. The betrayal deepened. Heart aching but resolve stealing. Lawyer confirmed. Reversible. Add it to the list. Planning peaked with timelines. Eviction in weeks. Public confrontation if they resisted. Symbolic fixes continued. I mended a torn photo of us. Glue sticky on fingers. Representing broken ties repaired on my terms. Till resolve. Amid the basement's damp. Sensory beats. Touch of cold walls. Smell of old books. Sight of stacked evidence. Emotional weight heavy, but lifting with each step. Mini cliffhanger loomed as I overheard them. Let's remortgage more. She won't mind. Laughter followed. Piercing. Won't mind. Oh, but I did. The planning was set. Tension at boiling. What happened when I executed would shatter their world, and mine would rise anew. Financial records complete. I bound them in a folder, string tying tight. The bow pulled with a soft rasp, sealing their fate. Dignity mine again. But one last uncover. Debts ballooning. Collection calls starting. They'd hidden it, but my investigation revealed all. Karma circling closer. In the quiet, I sat back, caught groaning. The chill no longer bothered. Warmth from justice filled me. Plans ready. Lawyer on speed dial. Cultural tensions echoed in memories. Her snubs at my simple life. Your kind doesn't plan ahead, she'd said. Now I'd show her. Moral lesson clear. Honor elders or face consequences. Revenge method locked. Legal eviction. Financial exposure. Tension rose to explosive edge. Late that night, a noise upstairs. Them arguing about money. My money. I smiled faintly in the dark. The climax neared. But first, the execution. What I unleashed next would be unforgettable, their downfall swift. With the evidence locked tight, I began executing my revenge, step by step, calm and calculated, starting with transferring assets back to my name alone. In the quiet of the basement, I logged into the bank site late at night, the screen's blue glow illuminating my face as I clicked through forms, reversing years of shared accounts they'd abused. I maintained a facade of compliance upstairs, smiling through meals, my voice steady, as if nothing had changed, all to avoid their suspicion while I stripped away their false security. The first transfer hit, like a silent wave, fingers tapping keys softly. The confirmation email chimed low. Funds moved, savings secured under my control. No fanfare, just the satisfaction of reclaiming what was mine. The chill air down here, now feeling like armor. Upstairs they noticed nothing at first. I'd serve dinner, plates clinking on the table, steam rising from simple meals they still snubbed. "Your kind of cooking is fine for now," she'd say with a sniff. But I nodded, eyes down, planning the next strike. Asset by asset, I worked. Called the title company during a walk outside, leaves crunching underfoot in the crisp Michigan fall, voice low as I updated the deed. Papers faxed, the machines hum distant in my mind. My name bold again, theirs erased, like dust wiped clean. Sensory calm washed over me each night. I'd sit on the cot, blanket rough, against my skin, reviewing confirmations printed on thin paper that rustled softly. Dignity built with every action, financial abuse unraveling thread by thread. But tension rose slowly. One morning, my son checked the joint account on his phone, screen reflecting in his coffee cup. "Mom, did you move money?" he asked casually over breakfast, spoon stirring with a clink. "Just organizing," I replied evenly. Butter knife scraping toast. The pause hung, his eyes narrowing slightly. But I smiled, facade intact. He shrugged it off, but I felt the shift, like storm winds picking up. Next came the will change. Met the lawyer in her office again, the scent of polished wood and fresh ink filling the room. "Sign here," she said, pen heavy in my hand as I scratched my name, cutting them out completely. No inheritance for ingrates. The document folded with a crisp snap, tucked in my bag. Walking home, wind biting my cheeks, I felt lighter, karma aligning with each step. Real family respects you, not just your money. This was moral justice, cold and precise. Burning the old joint documents came as purification. Late one evening, I slipped outside to the fire pit in the backyard, stars sharp overhead. Matches struck with a hiss, flames licking the papers, forged loans, shared bills, smoke curling thick and acrid into the night sky. Ashes glowed orange, heat warming my face, symbolizing the end of their hold. Satisfaction bloomed deep, like roots taking hold after drought. No more shared burdens, this was my new beginning, flames consuming the past. They slept unaware, house lights dim, but pacing quickened now, each action stripping their security, layer by layer. I ordered new locks online. Next, package arriving with a soft thud on the porch, metal cool and heavy in my palms. Installed them quietly one afternoon, while they were out. Screwdriver turning with steady clicks, the old keys discarded in the trash, like forgotten promises. Symbolic reclaim, the house mine again, entry controlled. Tension built as I prepared legal notices. Lawyer drafted eviction papers, stack thick and official, ink smelling fresh as I reviewed them in the basement's dim light. 30 days to vacate, grounds clear, ownership dispute, financial fraud, facade held strong. I'd hear her upstairs, voice sharp on calls, complaining about bills tightening. Class tensions flared in her mutters, breeding matters, we'd have more if not for her outdated ways. I listened through vents, resolve stealing. The reveal of forged signatures came during a tense dinner. I'd planted the evidence subtly, leaving a loan statement on the counter, by accident. She picked it up, paper crinkling, eyes widening. "What's this?" she demanded, voice rising like a whip crack. "That signature? It's not yours. How did you?" I looked up calmly, fork set down with a clink. "Forged," I said simply. "By you, or him. Loans in my name, money stolen. Financial abuse ends now." She protested, shocked, chair scraping back. "No, we needed it, for the family. You can't prove that." Her face paled, hands trembling on the table, the room thick with her panic. My son jumped in, voice strained. "Mom, let's talk. It's a mistake, we'll fix it." Sweat beaded on his brow, the kitchen's warm light, casting harsh shadows. "Fix it," I echoed, pause heavy, too late. "Eviction papers are coming. This house is mine, your false security crumbles today." She slammed the paper down, ink smudging. "You bitter old woman. After all we've done." Her words spat like embers, but I stayed calm, calculated, watching her unravel. I replied softly, "You've taken, disrespected, abused. Karma delivers justice. Dignity demands it. Get out." The argument echoed, plates untouched, food cooling. Tension exploded in that moment, her protests wild, his pleas desperate. But I held firm, heart steady amid the storm. They stormed off, doors slamming upstairs, vibrations shaking the basement ceiling. I sat alone, the silence saying everything, revenge executing flawlessly, their world stripping bare. Serving the papers came next morning. Sheriff at the door, badge glinting in sunlight, envelope thick in his hand. Official notice, he said gravely, handing it over as they opened, confusion turning to horror. Eviction, she shrieked, paper tearing slightly in her grip. You can't do this, it's our home. My home, I corrected, from the hallway. Voice even, legal, binding. 30 days, my son read silently, face ashen, the air heavy with defeat. Mom, please, reconsider. No, I said. Sacrifice deserved better. Now face the consequences. They huddled, whispers frantic, but I turned away, the door clicking shut. Pacing rose explosive, security gone, panic setting in. Financial freezes followed. Bank calls confirmed accounts, locked, their cards declined at stores. I imagined the beeps of denial, her humiliated flush. No more abuse on my dime. One night, I fixed a broken window latch upstairs, tools clinking softly, symbolizing mended control. The glass clear now, view sharp, my house, my rules. But they plodded back, tension mounting. Overheard her, we'll fight this in court, her kind won't win. Laughter bitter, but weak. Her kind, the snub fueled me, class divide exposed, but justice blind to it. Revenge stripped them further, will updated, assets safe. Public exposure loomed if they resisted, but for now, execution precise. Each step built to climax, their pleas ignored. As days passed, their packing began unwillingly, boxes thumping, tape ripping, sensory satisfaction, smell of cardboard, sight of empty shelves. False security vanished, dignity mine. Moral clarity rang, honor parents, or lose all. Karma's hand, guided by my calm plan. But as eviction neared, a twist emerged. They begged for mercy. One evening, knees almost bending. Tension peaked, my response calculated. I didn't yield. The confrontation would go public soon, shattering them completely. But what unfolded in that family gathering next would seal their humiliation forever. The family gathering in Michigan was the stage for my final stand, where I exposed their betrayal with calm precision, letting shared documents and a steady speech unravel their lies. In the packed living room, relatives and neighbors sipped drinks, unaware that karma's swift justice was about to descend, stripping away the false security my son and daughter-in-law had built on my sacrifices. Tension crackled like the fire in the hearth, its smoky scent mixing with the anticipation in the air. I'd planned this moment for weeks. The eviction truck idled outside, its engine a low rumble, unnoticed by the chattering crowd. My hands, steady despite the weight of years, held a folder of evidence, deeds, forged loans, emails, each page a testament to their financial abuse. The room buzzed with laughter, glasses clinking, the scent of roasted turkey heavy from the kitchen. I stood quietly near the mantel, the old clock ticking above, its rhythm matching my heartbeat. My daughter-in-law's voice carried over the crowd, boasting about their new plans, oblivious to the storm brewing. I cleared my throat, the sound cutting through the noise like a blade. Everyone turned, faces curious, the firelight casting long shadows on the hardwood floor. I have something to say, I began. Voice calm but firm, holding up the folder. This house, my home, was built with my sweat, my sacrifice, I said. The air thickened, relatives shifting in their seats, chairs creaking softly. For years, I gave everything, money, love, my dreams, for my son and his wife. Her smile faltered, wine glass trembling in her hand, the liquid catching the light. I continued, each word measured, heavy. But they took it all, used my money, forged my name on loans, and cast me to the basement like trash. Gasps rippled through the room, the fire popping loudly in the silence. I opened the folder, papers rustling, as I passed copies to a cousin, who frowned, scanning the evidence. Forged signatures, hidden debts, thousands stolen, I said, my voice steady as stone. She stood, face paling like frost on a window. That's not true, she snapped, her voice high, cracking. We needed it for the family. You're twisting everything. Twisting? I echoed, pausing for effect. The silence said everything. These documents don't lie, unlike you. The crowd murmured, heads turning, whispers sharp as the winter wind outside. My son rose, face flushed, hands raised. Mom, please, let's talk privately. This isn't fair. Fair, I replied, eyes locking on his. Was it fair when you called me a burden, when you let her shove me downstairs, dismissing every sacrifice I made? His mouth opened, but no words came. The room felt smaller, walls closing in with the weight of truth. Relatives clutched the papers, eyes wide, some shaking their heads at him. I turned to the crowd, voice rising slightly, but still calm, righteous. I raised my son alone, worked 3 jobs, paid for this house, their wedding, their comfort. Yet they disrespected me, used my money, and thought I'd stay silent. Her lips trembled, eyes darting to the door. You're just a bitter old woman, she spat, but the words fell weak, drowned by the crowd's growing whispers. Treating matters, you said, I continued, class tension bare, but my kind, hard-working, honest, built this life you stole. A neighbor stood, holding a loan document, voice loud. Is this true? You forged her name? The room erupted in murmurs, glasses set down with clinks, eyes pinning her. She clutched her purse, knuckles white, the leather creaking. It's a misunderstanding, she stammered. We'll fix it, I swear. No fixing this, I said, voice cold as Michigan ice. You're evicted. The trucks outside 30 days are up today. The front door opened, then, the sheriff stepping in, boots thudding on the rug, papers in hand. He nodded to me, badge glinting in the lamplight. Official eviction, he announced, voice carrying. Time to leave. Her face drained completely, pale as the snow piling outside. The crowd parted, relatives stepping back, their whispers a chorus of shock. You can't do this, she screamed, voice breaking like glass, raw and desperate. I can, I said, stepping closer, the folder heavy in my hand. This is my home, my dignity. Karma delivers what disrespect destroys. My son grabbed her arm, voice low, pleading. Mom, please, don't do this. We're family, give us a chance. Family respects, I replied, unwavering. You chose her lies over my sacrifices. Now face the consequences. The truck's horn blared outside, a sharp honk cutting the tension. Neighbors peered through the windows, their faces pressed against the cold glass, witnessing her humiliation. She froze, eyes wild, the weight of public shame crashing down. I handed the sheriff another document, the rustle loud in the quiet. Proof of fraud, I said. They'll answer for that too. Relatives gasped again, some turning away, others glaring at her. The fire's warmth couldn't touch the chill in her eyes as she realized the depth of her fall. No one spoke for her now. The room's judgment was clear. She tried one last plea, voice shaking. We didn't mean to hurt you. It was for our future. Please, let us stay. Hurt me, I said. Pause heavy, moral clarity, ringing. You stole my money, my home, my respect. Your future ends here. The sheriff motioned to the door, his coat rustling. Let's go, he said, firm but calm. She stumbled forward, heels clicking unevenly, purse slipping to the floor with a thud. My son followed, head down, shoulders slumped. Mom, I'm sorry, he whispered, voice barely audible over the crowd's murmurs. I didn't know it'd come to this. You chose this, I said, voice steady, heart firm. Dignity isn't negotiable. Go. They stepped outside, the door slamming shut, a final echo in the house I'd reclaimed. Through the window, I saw the truck, its lights cutting through the dusk, neighbors watching as boxes were loaded, her face buried in her hands. The crowd inside stayed quiet, the fire crackling softly, its glow reflecting off the polished floor. I stood tall, folder tucked under my arm, the weight of justice settling like a warm blanket. Emotional intensity peaked, the air thick with righteous closure. Relatives approached, voices low, offering support. You did right, one said, hand warm on my shoulder. Another shook her head at the door, muttering about karma. I nodded, the clock ticking on, steady as my resolve. The confrontation was public, unforgettable, her humiliation sealed in the eyes of those who mattered. My sacrifices, once mocked, now stood vindicated. Sensory details lingered, The cold air from the open door, the faint diesel smell from the truck, the rustle of papers still clutched tight. My home felt alive again, walls no longer echoing their disrespect, but my strength. I walked to the mantel, touching a photo of my son as a boy, glass cool under my fingers. Symbolism struck. Fixing what they broke meant reclaiming my place, my peace. This was justice, not revenge, though it burned bright as the fire. But as the truck pulled away, tires crunching gravel, I heard her final shout, bitter, promising retaliation. The crowd murmured louder, tension lingering like smoke. What she planned next would test me again, but I was ready. With the house reclaimed, I found peace, turning it into a sanctuary, my hands steady as I painted walls and planted a garden, each act a symbol of a new beginning, free from betrayal. The air no longer carried the weight of their disrespect. Instead, it smelled of fresh paint and blooming lilacs. My dignity restored through patient revenge. No grudges lingered, only empowered boundaries, a quiet strength that filled the home I'd fought to keep. Mornings became sacred. I'd sit on the porch, coffee steaming in my cup, its rich aroma mixing with the crisp Michigan dawn. The sun warmed my face, casting golden light across the lawn. I'd reclaimed a serenity I hadn't felt in years. Renovations began slowly. I sanded the old dining table, sawdust tickling my nose, smoothing away years of their careless scratches. Each stroke felt like erasing their presence, restoring the wood's warm grain, my hands steady with purpose. The basement, once my prison, transformed too. I painted it bright, the brush's soft swish a promise of renewal, the damp smell replaced by clean plaster. No more shadows, light poured in, reflecting my reclaimed control. I decided to rent a room. A kind young teacher answered my ad, her footsteps light on the stairs as she moved in, her laughter warm during shared dinners. Unlike them, she respected my space, her rent payments crisp in envelopes, a stark contrast to their financial abuse. Quiet evenings returned, the house alive with peace. I'd sit by the window, curtains fluttering in the breeze, the scent of fresh-cut grass drifting in. The clock ticked softly, no longer counting down to betrayal, but marking moments of calm. Planting the garden became my ritual. I dug into the earth, soil cool and heavy under my nails, planting roses that would bloom red and fierce like my resolve. Each root took hold, symbolizing growth, a new chapter free from their weight. I reflected often on true family bond. Real family respects you, not just your money, I'd whisper to myself, watering the plants, droplets sparkling in the sunlight. The lesson, hard learned, anchored my peace, clear as the moral it carried. My son called sometimes, his voice hesitant through the phone's crackle. "Mom, I'm sorry," he'd say, humbled now, the arrogance gone. "Can we meet?" I'd pause, the receiver cool against my ear. "Maybe one day," I'd reply, calm but firm. Boundaries held strong, no rush to forgive. Though my heart softened slightly, he'd plead gently, words stumbling. "I didn't see how much we hurt you. Can we start over?" "Start over requires respect," I'd say, voice steady. "Time will tell." The silence after said enough, my dignity non-negotiable. Those calls stirred memories. I'd touch old photos on the mantel, glass smooth under my fingers, his boyhood smile frozen in time. Pain lingered, but I let it pass, like clouds over the lake, choosing peace over resentment. The house felt mine again. I fixed a creaky floorboard, hammer tapping softly, mending what they'd broken. Each repair, from leaky faucets to chipped paint, rebuilt my sanctuary, my hands reclaiming every inch. Neighbors noticed the change. They'd wave from the sidewalk, their voices warm during chats over the fence, the air sweet with blooming flowers. "You look happy," one said, her smile genuine, a contrast to the whispers at that final gathering. I was happy. The garden grew, roses unfurling, their scent heavy in the evenings, as I sipped tea, cup warm in my hands. Serenity settled deep, karma's justice complete without anger, only calm resolve. Cultural tensions faded with them gone. No more snubs about my simple ways, no more breeding matters, cutting through meals. My home, my rules, my peace, class divide irrelevant now. I'd walk the rooms at night, floorboards quiet underfoot, the house's heartbeat steady. Photos rearranged, new ones added, a tenant's birthday, a neighbor's visit, new memories overriding old pain. The walls held my story, not theirs. One morning, I found an old scarf in a drawer, knitted during lonely nights, its wool soft but frayed. I mended it carefully, needle threading smoothly, a symbol of fixing what they'd torn in me. Each stitch closed a wound, my heart lighter. Financial freedom returned too. Bank statements arrived, clean now, no forged loans or hidden debts. I'd run my finger over the numbers, paper crinkling, pride swelling at the security I'd reclaimed. The teacher tenant brought life to the house. She'd play soft music, notes drifting through the halls, blending with the scent of my baking bread. Her respect mirrored what family should be, mutual, not exploitative. Occasional letters came from my son, envelopes thin and hesitant, his handwriting shaky. I read them by the window, sunlight warming the pages, his words seeking reconciliation. "I'm learning, Mom," he wrote once, the ink smudged slightly, as if by tears. I didn't reply immediately. Time needed to heal what they'd broken, my boundaries firm as the new locks I'd installed. But I kept the letters, stacked neatly in a box, their faint paper smell a reminder of hope, however distant. Mornings with coffee grew richer. I'd watch birds in the garden, their chirps bright against the quiet steam curling from my mug. Peace wasn't just the absence of them, it was the presence of me, whole again. Symbolism wove through every act. The garden's growth mirrored mine, roots deep, blooms vibrant. I'd clip roses for the table, their petals soft, a quiet celebration of resilience. One evening, a neighbor stopped by, her knock soft on the door. "Saw your garden. It's beautiful," she said, voice warm. "You've made this place yours again." I smiled, the porch light glowing soft behind me. "It always was," I said, "just had to remind them." She nodded, understanding, the air cool with twilight. The house stood strong behind me, its windows reflecting the fading sun. Dignity restored, no room for grudges, only forward steps. But as I closed the door, a new letter arrived, its envelope heavier than before. My son's handwriting, but with a legal seal, hinting at a challenge. What he wrote inside would test my peace, but I was ready. My journey taught me a truth that echoes beyond these walls. True family honors sacrifice, not exploits it. I stood up, reclaimed my home, my dignity, and showed that karma always finds its mark. The scent of my blooming garden lingers now, a reminder of peace earned through patient justice. I look back on the betrayal, the cold basement, the forged papers, and feel no anger, only strength. My story isn't just mine, it's for every parent who gave everything, only to be pushed aside. Real family respects you, not just your money, and that lesson burns bright. Now, I pass the torch to you. Hit that like button if this resonated, subscribe to hear more stories of justice, and share this video to spread awareness about respecting our elders. Your support keeps these truths alive. Drop a comment below. Have you faced family betrayal, or found your own path to revenge? Your words matter, just as mine did when I took back my home. The Michigan air feels lighter now, but your stories could spark the next fire of change.